tikka is a lovely dish. It's really vibrant, but there's lots of different ways to make it. So I'm going to show you how I do it. The first thing you need to do is get your chicken ready, and I always use chicken thigh meat for this just because I think it holds the flavour better and it's just nicer than breast, but if you prefer breast, by all means use breast. The first thing I want to do is just trim off any of the excess fat because I don't like all the extra bits that you don't need, so just make sure you get rid of all of those. Make sure you're using fillets and make sure that you've taken the skin off as well. Once you've done that, just cut them into nice sort of bite-sized chunks because we're going to be skewering these onto some skewers later on. So just make sure that you've trimmed it all up and it's all ready. And I like to use sort of fairly decent chunky sizes, that sort of size. There we go. It's really important as well when you're getting your meat ready that you wash it beforehand and then make sure it's thoroughly dry. Because this is a marinade, what you want to ensure is that the meat or the vegetables that you're marinating are completely dry. You don't want to introduce any excess liquid into that marinade because the whole point of a marinade is to get some really intense flavours into your meat or your vegetables. So that sort of size chunks, get all of that ready. I think that's it all done. Yep. I'm just going to move this out of the way and wash my hands quickly. So once the chicken's ready, the next bit is all about the yoghurt. Traditionally, you tend to use something called hung yoghurt, which basically means that the yoghurt has been hung in a muslin and it's had all of the moisture taken out. And the reason that you use yoghurt like that is that because it's thicker, because there's less liquid in it, it holds onto the flavours and the spices better, and it just helps to get those penetrating into the meat. So I'm going to show you a quick hot tip as how to do that quickly. All you want to do is get your yoghurt. I always tend to use a full fat yoghurt, generally a Greek yoghurt. And what I do is I just put it onto a plate where I've got some kitchen towel on there and just spread it out. And what will happen is all the moisture and liquid will be pulled out of the yoghurt. So you just need to do that and set it to one side for about 5-10 minutes. The longer you leave it, the more liquid it'll drain out. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. The other bits that I like to use in my tikka are peppers and red onions. So I like to chop up my onions and peppers into nice big chunky pieces like this. And I like to use a mixture of peppers. So red, green, orange, just to get a little bit of colour and a little bit of fun into those dishes. So again, nice and chunky. You don't want them little slivers because you don't want them to fall off the skewers later. So just pop that all on there. Just take those middle bits out. Chop that up into nice big chunks and then just set that to one side as well. So I'm just going to pop those to one side and I'm going to move on to the spices, which is all the fun stuff. I want to get lots of flavours, lots of fragrance into this dish. So I'm going to start with my spices and I'm just going to crush some of those to start that process going. So I've got some coriander seeds here. Coriander gives a real sort of lemony touch. So I'm going to put in half a teaspoon into my pestle and mortar. I'm just going to start to crush those up a little bit. And as I start to crush those, I'm going to add a few other little bits. So I've got some cardamom. I want to give this dish a little bit of warmth, a little bit of heat. So I'm just going to crack some cardamom. There we go. And just give those a bash through. And whilst I've got my pestle and mortar out, I'm just going to crush my garlic at the same time. So you could crush it beforehand or you can just bash it all up together. So I've got 3 cloves of garlic that I'm just going to crush at the same time. So once you've given it a bash, that's what you're looking for. It's just all crushed up. It's all sort of bashed together. You don't need it to be fine or anything like that. You just give it a good old smash. So I'm going to just pop that into my bowl. And with a dish like this, you need to get your hands in there. So I'm just going to pop that out with my fingers. And you can already smell that this is going to be really quite delicious because it's quite a fresh, fragrant aromatic that's coming from it. So into the bowl, I'm going to add all of my other bits and pieces, so all my other spices. I've got a teaspoon of salt going in. I'm going to put a teaspoon of fenugreek. I'm going to add some garam masala. That just gives it a real warmth and a real lift. So a nice big heap spoon of that. And I'm going to add some Kashmiri chilli powder. So chicken tikka has that lovely vibrant red colour, and it's from this chilli powder that you get that lovely red colour. So I'm going to put a teaspoon of that in. I'm also going to grate about 2 tablespoons worth of ginger into the mixture as well. If you want to, you can just chop it up, pop it in your pestle and mortar and give it a bash as well. So I've just decided to grate. There we go. So that goes in there. Just scrape all the last few bits and pieces off. And then that essentially is all your spice mix that is ready for the yoghurt. So if I just go back to the yoghurt, I just want to show you what it looks like. So if you see all of this moisture that's just been pulled out of that yoghurt, and that's what you're looking for, you're just looking to thicken that up. If I just show you, and what I'm going to do is just pull this, and you'll see it just folds over because it's just had that moisture drawn out of it. So that's what you're looking for. Once your yoghurt is at that stage, then you just need to plop it straight in to your mixture. So there we go. You just want it to almost roll off the towel. There we go. Just pop that to one side. Now I've got yoghurt all over my fingers. It doesn't matter because I'm going to get my hands in there and I'm going to start to mix all of that up. And you're looking for a beautiful orangey vibrant colour. I'm just going to wash my hands because I've remembered I've forgotten my chilli, and I like mine a little bit spicy, so I'm going to add a fresh chilli in there as well. So I'm just going to chop up a chilli, and again, as I always say, you can make it as hot or as mild as you like. I'm going to add 2 chillies, and remember you've got that Kashmiri chilli powder in there as well. Although that's a mild chilli powder, it does have a warmth to it, so just be a little bit careful. You don't want to go over the top and it's too hot for you. So just pop that straight into your bowl. And then I'm going to add some lemon juice. So a nice squeeze from 1 lemon. So just push that through your fingers, just catch any of the seeds. And lemon juice just helps to tenderise the meat, and it helps draw all of those lovely flavours into the meat from the marinade. There we go. So once we've got to this stage, just get rid of those pips. I'm going to add my chicken straight into there, and I'm going to get my hands in and I'm going to massage all of that chicken, those flavours. Okay, now I'm going to add my vegetables as well. So it might sound a bit weird that you're marinating your vegetables, but you've got some lovely flavours in there. We may as well mix it all up and get them all tasting of that lovely marinade. So again, get your fingers in. Probably should have chosen a slightly bigger bowl, but hey, that's one of those things. So make sure it's all coated. And as with most marinades, or whenever you're marinating meat, you need to leave it for as long as you possibly can. Ideally, for this dish, about an hour. So just pop it into the fridge, leave it for an hour. If you haven't got that time, then by all means, just leave it for 10 minutes if you can. But the longer you leave it, the better it is, and the more sort of flavour you get into there. But that's what you're looking for. You just cover it up, and I'm going to wash my hands and I'm going to pop that in the fridge, and then we'll come back to it later. The chicken's been marinating for an hour, so I've got it out, and we're going to start to skewer the meat and the vegetables onto skewers. If you're using metal skewers, then you just go straight on with them. If you're using wooden skewers, just make sure you soak them in some cold water beforehand. It just means that it stops them from burning. So There's lots of different ways that you can do this, as I said. So some people, if you are, like my husband, a pure meat eater and that's what you like, you can just make the skewers with just the chicken. So this one I'm making as a purely meat chicken tikka, especially for Marcelo, who is one of my cameramen here and he loves his meat. So I'm just skewering the chicken straight on. If you are more of a vegetarian, or if you've got vegetarian friends, you can by all means use exactly the same marinade with different types of vegetables. So you can use peppers like I have done here, you can use nice chunky mushrooms, you can use paneer, you could use soya chunks, you know, anything you like really. You could even use courgettes and that kind of thing. This one I'm doing here, I'm doing a bit of a mixture. So I've got peppers, I've got the red onion, I've got some chicken going on. And it just looks really fresh, it looks really vibrant. And you know it's going to taste good when you've got such lovely colours and lovely fresh veg in there. So I just alternate meat and veg just to make sure that you get all of the different flavours going through each of them. So I've got a nice chunky bit of onion here. Oh, just be careful of your fingers. You don't want to go straight through one of your fingers with the skewer. I like to put all of my ingredients on quite compact. I like them to sort of cook together and for all of the flavours to sort of mingle into each other. Just be aware that when you are checking them afterwards that you make sure that they're cooked all the way through. These should take about 20 minutes or so to cook, but just make sure that they're cooked through because they are nice and compact all the way through. Another way to cook these is, today we're going to do them in the oven, but you can do them on the barbecue. They make a really, really lovely barbecue dish and, you know, great for the summer, but I think they make a really nice little starter as well. So when you've got friends coming around, you know, you present them with something like this, it's beautiful. So there we go, we're nearly there. So the skewers are all ready. They're looking really pretty, looking really beautiful. Just to finish off, I am going to drizzle them with a little bit of mustard oil. And mustard oil gives a real sort of smoky flavour. Traditionally, these would be cooked in a tandoor oven, which is an outdoor oven that you put the skewers into, and it gives a real smokiness because it's a wood-burning oven. So just to mimic that, I'm just going to drizzle over a little bit of mustard oil. You can, by all means, use a brush and just brush this on. I'm just being a little bit lazy here and just sprinkling it on. Mustard oil has had a bit of a reputation as an oil that you shouldn't use, but that's really down to, from the research that I've done, down to sort of import laws and so on. It's becoming much more widely available in supermarkets now. So give it a go. It's made from pressed mustard seeds, and it's got a real sort of a real bite to it. So it's a really lovely oil to use for dishes like this. I've had my oven on at 200 degrees. Seems quite high, but what I want to happen when these are cooking is I want the edges to go a little bit charred. I want that sort of barbecue-y flavour. So I'm going to put this in at 200 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm going to check them, and then I'll turn them over and leave them to cook for another 10 minutes or so. My chicken tikka has been cooking for about half an hour. I checked it halfway through, turned them over, gave them another little sprinkling of mustard oil. It's really important that you just do a quick check. Just make sure, because they're so compactly put onto the skewers, just double check that you are happy. Yep, and they are all cooked all the way through. So just to finish this off, I like to give it a good squirt of lemon juice. Look at that, it looks delish. Whoops. And then I'm going to finish it off with a nice big sprinkling of coriander. And these are great, just served as a little starter or even as a little lunch dish, and you can put them in some pita bread. But I hope you've enjoyed watching me make chicken tikka. I've got lots more videos on my YouTube channel, so please have a look. Subscribe to my channel because it's free, and just start cooking with me, and I'd love to hear how you get on, so make sure you leave me some comments.